The Gospel of Mark, the oldest of the Gospels, starts its account of Jesus' life when he meets John the Baptist. What happened during his childhood is a mystery. The family making their home in Nazareth is one of the last things reported in the Gospels about Jesus' early life. Is this archaeological site in the modern-day city the place where he spent those missing years? Found here is what may be the newly uncovered ruin of the childhood home of Jesus Christ. The story of this discovery goes back more than a century.
In 1881, a congregation of nuns called the Sisters of Nazareth take possession of this site and build their convent on it. They discover that underground there are remnants of something, but they don't know what.
I have the keys of the kingdom with me.
They were told at the time that it was the site of a great church and that a burial of a saint lay on that ground. But these were just local stories, and I'm not sure anybody really believed those.
In 2006, British archaeologist Ken Dark conducts a routine inspection of the convent cellar and gets the surprise of his life.
I went over to the Sisters of Nazareth convent, and to my great surprise, instead of a small rock-cut tomb, there was a huge cellar full of archaeological features, including what was immediately apparent was an undiscovered cave church. I naturally was amazed to see archaeological features of which mainstream archaeology had been unaware.
The remains of the church occupied a large section of one half of the cellar. But who built it and how old it was remained a mystery.
I began to look through pilgrimage accounts to see if there was any evidence for this large building and whether any of them told us what this church was dedicated to.
The most authoritative description of early Nazareth is called the De Locis Sanctus, the sacred locations.
In addition to the biblical account, we actually only have a 7th century pilgrim's account. And he says that there stood 2 churches. One church, which was said to have been built over the childhood home of Jesus, and the other big church in the center of Nazareth, the Church of the Annunciation.
Today, the Church of the Annunciation still stands in the center of Nazareth, attracting tens of thousands of visitors a year.
And it was fairly easy to see if it had the series of attributes that De Locis Sanctis attributes to the Church of the Nutrition. Did it have a well? Well, yes, there is a well at the site. Did it have a vault under it? Yes, the site included a large vaulted area. Did that vault include 2 tombs? Yes, there are tombs incorporated in the vault. This did alert me to the possibility that we'd found the Church of the Nutrition.
What Ken Dark says he's found in this underground site matches the description of the Church of the Nutrition, which, according to legend, was built on the site of Jesus' childhood home.
According to a later tradition, there was also a tomb deep beneath the church belonging to none other than Mary's husband.
It was believed that the site contained the tomb of St. Joseph.
It is now possible to recreate the house that Jesus may have lived in more than 2,000 years ago. A house of 2 stories, with bedrooms, family room, a courtyard, and a well, with a cave room carved into the rocky terrain. Modern-day Nazareth, location of an archaeological site believed by some to be the very house where Jesus was raised. what appears to be a house built into the side of a hill with a courtyard and multiple rooms. Though the Bible tells us very little about Jesus' childhood, we know from historical sources that turbulent events were taking place in Galilee. But does the house, believed by some to be his childhood home, contain any other clues about how the religion of the child shaped the beliefs of the man?
Jesus!
At the Sisters of Nazareth convent in Israel, a decade of archaeological investigation has uncovered the site identified in ancient texts as Jesus' childhood home. Among the finds, spinning gear, jewelry, and most important for dating the site, pottery.
The type of pottery associated with the house only came into use at the very turn of the 1st century BC and the 1st century AD. These are pieces of cooking pot, and in fact, you can see on the outside evidence of charring where they've been exposed to the flames of a fire.
As well as helping to date the site precisely to the time of Jesus, stoneware found here also provides the strongest evidence that this house was lived in by a pious Jewish family.
Limestone containers indicate that these were people following Jewish purity laws.
Evidence of 1st century Jerusalem can be found deep under the modern city.
Archaeologists tunneled down for years until they finally came to this point here. This is the street level from the time of Jesus. You can see the columns here that held up the roofs of shops where shopkeepers would have been selling their goods. You can imagine children running through the streets and people yelling at one another. And of course, these are the streets where Jesus would have walked towards the temple to go up to worship. I mean, this is a very sacred place.